2020.
I think today's the 31st.
Right. So today is the first. We're acting like we're tomorrow.
Okay.
Tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Good evening and welcome to our Midweek Faith Lift. My name is Shannon Brun. I'm joined here by Rev Doug Werth. Hey,
Yeah.
Reverend Doug, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great.
Yeah.
It's nice to be back.
It's nice to be back,
Yeah.
man. I missed you.
Well,
I mean, I see you in church, but I missed this.
me too.
You know,
it's fun.
This is really fun, and it's so spiritual for me. You know, like I get a spiritual boost every week when I do this, and I haven't been getting my spiritual boost.
All right. Well, here we are. We're going to do it again.
Yeah, today is Wednesday, February 1st, 2023.
Yeah.
So have you missed? I mean, what have you been doing? Because I mean, we haven't been doing this. I mean, I've been.
Right.
Let me just tell you a little bit about what's been going on with me.
Right.
I got a new job, and so I've been kind of adjusting to this whole.
How's
new
that
life.
going, by the way? I'm just curious.
Well, I'm trying to adjust to this whole new thing of working again.
Right.
So since I started working, I was just like, how am I going to do this podcast and work at the same time? I mean, it sounds like real small stuff to most people, but
it's big.
it is big. It is big. I'm a feelings person. And I like to take things easy, and I like to make sure I'm connected to what I'm doing.
Right.
And so I want to make sure that I'm feeling good about what I'm doing. And so I wanted to adjust back into this at the right time. I didn't just want to force myself to do the podcast and force myself to work and be all over the place. So I feel like now is the right time to do it. So.
And and the other thing too, you don't want to do something that's not fun.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that you don't enjoy doing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very important that you got the right feeling for it and all of that.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back. And it takes a while to find that feeling, find that
does.
place. Yeah.
It does.
So I'm happy to be back. I miss you. I miss talking about this spiritual stuff, the spiritual journey that we're on.
Well, and it's the questions too. You know, it's the real questions. It's one thing for me to get up on a Sunday morning with a prepared talk and do that. Mm-hmm. It's another to just talk with people and find out, you know, what's underneath the surface, what they're interested in,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what happens here.
Yeah.
So yeah. So that's good.
Yeah. We had a visitor last week.
Reginald Holt. Howard.
Reverend Doctor? How do you say that?
Yeah, Reverend Dr. Reginald Howard.
Yeah. Spectacular. I thought it was a great talk.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah.
You know, he was animated,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and he's written books, very well spoken,
Mm-hmm.
kept it within 20 minutes,
Yeah.
you know, which I never do.
Yeah.
But yeah. No, I
he definitely took us to a
good.
different place. He was like, amen. We're not used to that at Unity, you know? Like,
That's
we're
right.
not used to that kind of...
Well, I suspect that he came from a different background.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's where that comes
Yeah.
from.
Yeah.
So
And different is good sometimes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I grew up in the Frozen Chosen, you know, Presbyterian church. So we never did, like, we just kind of sat there and, you know, put money in the collection plate when it came by, or, you know, that sort of thing. So
you've been doing this series. I mean, you on I think it's called the
7 Spiritual Laws of Success
7 Spiritual
by
Laws.
Deepak Chopra.
Yeah.
I've started that, and the reason for it, I think, for a couple of reasons, is first of all, Deepak is an icon in the New Thought movement. Secondly, he's also from India. All right, so he's got an Eastern flavor to him, and a very, very broad knowledge of all this kind of stuff. And he wrote a book that said, "Hey, here are some of the key points that you want to, you know, keep in mind." So I thought that was a pretty good way to start. Once we get through with this, I'll probably start doing some of my own stuff. But I thought this would be a good introduction in the beginning of the year, just to start going through.
Yeah. And we went through that first. I think we were on you're going to be on number 3 next week.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. We're going to talk a lot about the law of karma. Ooh, boy, that's going to be a big one.
And then I think last week we talked about circulation.
Yeah, it was the law of giving and receiving.
Law of giving and receiving.
You know, that's what last week was, and the very first week was the law of pure potentiality, which basically what he's saying is it's all God, it's all out there. There's a divine universe, and he basically described that, and the way that we connect with that, and he gave 3 ways to do that. You know, in the silence, and then meditation. And then more of a forgiveness, you know, sort of thing, trusting. So So anyways, I think it's all good material, and this coming week I thought he was a little light in his chapter on karma, so I'm going to be putting some of my own stuff into that as well. So,
but tell us about the circulation one, the law of circulation, the second one.
Okay.
Which is a
law of giving and receiving.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about that. Yeah.
Well, the law of giving and receiving basically says what you give out is what you get back in kind. And the thing that I put into that, or injected into that, is that when you put yourself out in a certain direction, what happens is it builds back stronger. Especially if it's in the right direction. For example, if you want to lose weight or you want to get more physically fit, you have to expend energy in the direction of that. And then the first couple of times, you're tired, you're stiff, you're sore, you're all kind. But then what happens is you start getting stronger. You start getting more physically fit. And when that happens, what's going on is you're drawing energy through the channels that you want to open, and God's energy opens that. So that's pretty much what it is. And the law of circulation is a little bit different from the law of giving and receiving, but the law of circulation basically says don't become stagnant. If you hoard your money, basically, what good is that?
Right.
Okay, you can watch your account go up maybe a little bit, but the greater good is to keep that in circulation. Yeah. And I'll give you
They say ministers always say that. That's their favorite one.
Well, yeah. Well, that's what Edwin Gaines said.
Yeah.
And when and we talked about tithing with the law of giving and receiving.
Right. That's a part of it.
And tithing. For those who have a hard, who find difficulty in giving and receiving, the tithing is a discipline for doing that.
So that opens you up. It gets you used to the process.
It's a discipline. For example, for those who can't get up in the morning, they have an alarm clock.
Right.
All right.
Okay.
For those who don't understand math, all right, then you go to a math teacher and they give you examples,
So the Lord giving and receiving is, you got to tithe. That'll help you to understand. Give up some money.
That's
right.
Help
you understand.
That's right. And one of the
that's probably the hardest thing to do. You know what I mean? So if you start there,
it's the one that really snaps your suspenders.
And
for Edwene, she was dirt poor at the time. And she did some prayer work, and her prayers are kind of funny because she's an outgoing person. Let's put it that way. And if you ever meet her in person, she's funny as hell. I mean, but she's also very direct. She won't put up with any nonsense either. But she can be funny. But so the point was, I read a little bit out of her book when she discovered tithing, and the reason I did it is that it was a funny story after the fact, and it was very personal, and real for her, and so she was terrified with the whole idea.
Right.
She's dirt poor, and basically, you want me to give another 10%?
Right.
I can't even pay my bills, and basically God said, yeah. And what happened was her whole world changed. And as she started getting involved with the law of giving and receiving, everything else opened up for her.
I can certainly relate to that. I think that since I've been at Unity of Chattanooga, especially over this last year, I've given a little bit more financially, and also I've given a little bit more of myself financially. I mean, not financially, but I've given a little bit more of my service.
Right. Time, talent, and treasure are the three that you want to.
And I got a new car.
Yeah.
New job.
New job.
Yeah. So I'm just looking for a
new
relationship.
And other
relationship
things,
now is the only thing I'm waiting on.
Well, I was going to say, and other parts of your life have changed too.
Yeah.
And made room for something perhaps even better.
Yeah. And so I think it's just a matter of for me, it's being aware of that, like where that's I know that's coming from the fact that I've been doing what I need to do for myself and for other people. So I know that's why I'm being blessed the way I'm being blessed. Yeah.
And there's internal things going on. I mean, your vibration is changing. Somehow, some way. Okay, which means the attracting force for another relationship is different today
than it was
2 years ago.
I was probably a mean old motherfucker back then. Excuse my language. I shouldn't have said that word, but I probably, you get nicer and
Right.
you can attract more. Excuse me. I shouldn't. Where am I coming from with that?
Where'd that come from?
Yeah, but
Wow.
we do get nice. We get we become more pleasant as we grow spiritually, and that can attract people.
Absolutely,
So definitely.
And it's not so much that you're nicer on the surface. What happens is all those triggers on the inside, all those things that used to just cause you to react, those things aren't there anymore. Because you've done your forgiveness work, you've done other kinds of work, and when you basically are coming from a more blessed place, all those other things don't bother you as much. For example, you can somebody offends you or says something that in the past would have caused you to react. What you realize is that's their stuff. It's not my stuff. Okay, it's their judgments, not mine so much. So you might say thanks for sharing, all right, which is kind of a unity term for for get lost, right. For words to that effect.
Right.
But anyways, it doesn't bother you as much anymore. Getting back to tithing, there is a longtime unity minister by the name of Catherine Ponder. And Catherine Ponder has written tons of books. I mean, my bookshelf is like this with her books. And it's all about prosperity in one way or another. It could be relationships, a lot of it's money. And early in her life, she went to her accountant, and the accountant was going to be doing taxes for her. And the accountant was, good at what he did, and he noticed that she was tithing. And so he asked her about that. And he said, well, so what's tithing? What's this all about?
He noticed it on her statement. You told me this story.
Yeah.
He noticed it on her statement. He's an accountant, so he was looking over her statement.
Exactly.
And he noticed the word tithing on the statement or whatever. The giving.
Well, contributions.
Right, yeah.
Okay. And the word tithing. And so he asked her about it. And she explained it to him. And then he said something dynamic. He looked at her and he said, year after year, the market goes up, the market goes down, real estate goes up, real estate goes down, the economy expands, through all of that, he said, I have a number of clients who tithe, and they always prosper year after year after year. Everybody else follows the ups and downs, okay? But the people who tithe seem to prosper every year. So, again, that's the law of giving and receiving. And let's talk a little bit about the law of circulation. The law of circulation means keep things in circulation. For example, let's say that, well, I'll give you an example. A lady came up to a guy who was doing a seminar on relationships. And she came up to him afterwards and said, I've been trying to get into this was a woman, I'm trying to get into another relationship and nothing seems to be working and blah, 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 blah. And he looked at her and he said, do you have a garage? She goes, yeah, I got a 2-car garage. And he said, how many cars you got in it? And she said, 1. Well, what's on the other side? Well, I got all kinds of stuff. And he said, law of circulation. Open up that other side, make room, okay? Then he said, let's talk about the bedroom and the closet. What do you got in the closet? And she says, oh, I got all kinds of my stuff. Do you have room for a partner's stuff in the? No. All right, empty that out. All right, make room
for that person. Yeah.
Make room for that person. And I think many of us have noticed, when our desk or our room or our house or whatever starts to get just absolutely cluttered with stuff. And it could be from years past, it could be memorable. When we clean that out, when we finally get rid of the stuff that's just old material, there is a sense of freedom, there is a sense of expanding, and what happens is then you make room for better stuff. Yeah. All right, and it works in every area of our life. It works in relationships.
Mm-hmm.
It works in jobs, finances.
Mm-hmm.
You want to keep things moving.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
when you've
I remember my dad used to say, "Keep that wallet clean."
yeah.
He used to always tell me, he used to always teach me how.
Right.
He encouraged me to make sure I kept my wallet, things out of my
Right.
wallet, because I had a tendency to write little notes and put it in the wallet and stuff like that. He said, make sure you keep it cleared out so you can have room for other things to come in, for money to come in.
Sure.
So, yeah.
One other thing about tithing and money. Some of the people who teach tithing and teach prosperity things, one of the first things they'll tell you: take a look at your wallet. Organize
right.
the dollar bills.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
And one other thing that he said:
people that just throw stuff. I mean,
exactly.
You gotta
keep it clean, keep it organized, keep it orderly, so you know what's going on.
Yeah.
The other thing that he mentioned is that people who tithe tend to take an active control over their finances.
Yeah.
They know
what's going in and out. Yeah.
exactly.
Become more aware.
Exactly. They know how much they can give. And so when they give joyously. They give freely. You know, whereas,
Tithing makes you. It begins the process of you being mindful of your money.
yes.
It begins that process
Absolutely.
because you have to pick an amount, and just the fact that you have to pick an amount, and you have to some people every week have to write something out. So it just kind of
Right.
gets you more conscious of it. Whereas if you're not tithing, or if you're not responsible, it just kind of goes anywhere.
Yeah.
So definitely.
This doesn't have anything to do with tithing, but I was working in a factory earlier in my life, and I was on the second shift doing some engineering work, and I got talking with the people who were there on second shift, just eating, during lunch break with them. And this one lady came up to me or sat across from me, and she started crabbing and complaining about how much the company didn't pay her and it wasn't right, and on and on and on and on. And I said, well, tell me what kind of car are you driving? And she was driving a 3-year-old Cadillac. Okay. And then she started talking about the boat and their RV and all the stuff,
right? Expensive stuff,
nice stuff,
right?
Okay. Yeah. And at the time, I'm driving a Chevy Chevette,
right.
which was one of the original POS cars. All right. In other words, it was an economical car that wasn't built very well. Okay. But that's what I was driving. So I looked at her, and I happened to understand what the wage scales were, and the wage scales in that plant were much better, and the benefits were much better than most. Okay.
When you say wage scales, what do you mean? Weight scales.
Wage.
Scales. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. Okay.
Yeah, wage
scales.
Scale.
I understand. Right.
Yeah. And as a matter of fact, that lady was probably making about what I was making.
Wow.
All right. So I looked at her and I said, "So how much is your rent?" And she said that, and I started going down through, how much is the car payment? How much is the boat payment? How much? And I just kind of laid it out, and I said, look, you're in the hole from the beginning going.
Yeah.
All right. It's not so much about the company and your income as your expenses are out of control. So, and then I told her, look, you see that little red car out? That's what I'm driving. All right. So
the first thing
I would encourage you to make a budget, and she had no idea. Okay, make a budget and get within that budget, and then once you have a certain understanding of your finances, then you can feel an awful lot better about yourself. And there's two key things about tithing. One is giving, and the other is the feelings that you attach to that. They've got to be loving feelings. They've got to be. It's got to be generosity. It's got to be giving from your abundance, and that feeling is hugely important. If you don't have that, if it's like, oh, I'm gonna tithe 10%, and you open the wallet, moths fly out. Or you hear the squeaky. It's not gonna do you any good. Okay. So, anyways, that's the long and the short of it. So.
Well, Doug, before we end, I wanted to make sure the viewers know that we're going to be meeting next week. We're going to be at Red Bank again next week.
No.
So next week we're meeting at the do you know
Hubert Fry place
on Anacola Highway.
Yeah, and the Tennessee River Park. That's where we're going to be meeting, probably for at least the next 3 weeks,
right?
Something like that.
Yeah.
And from what I understand, the last week in February, the Red Bank Community Center is going to be open, but somebody's booked it already.
Oh wow!
So we're going to be looking, for some other place.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see how that works. And it'll be on the website and in the newsletters and that sort of thing. So
if anybody needs information to where we're going to be meeting and they haven't gotten the information already, they can just email us at contact@unityofchattanooga.org and we'll definitely get the directions to them. Because I think we have a map. We have actually, Penny's actually made a map.
Yeah.
Drew a map out. So we have a map we can send them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And if you're interested in our newsletter or any information about the church, you can also contact at contact@unityofchattanooga.org. You can email us there and get information about the church. And don't forget, I'll tell our viewers to follow us on our YouTube channel, because this is where we broadcast our Midweek Faith Lift, not only on our Facebook page, but we also broadcast it on our Facebook group, which is called Friends of Unity of Chattanooga. So we have a Facebook group, and I'm going to say that again, it's called Friends of Unity of Chattanooga. And you can join that group on Facebook and receive all types of updates on what we're doing. And also you can join our, or subscribe to our Unity of Chattanooga YouTube channel. So those are some places where you can find us and follow us and like us. And please subscribe. That way we can get our subscription list up and we can get all kind of benefits from that.
Yeah, and if you have friends who you think would appreciate the message, send them a link.
I was at work today. Before we went, I was at work today, and I was like, I got to get home. I got to do my podcast. And one of the ladies, you do a podcast? I said, yeah. She said, let me see. And so I turned to her and I said, I got to go. And she started watching it. And I was like, well,
there you go.
Yeah, we'll see what happens tomorrow.
Yeah, okay, good. All right, well, thanks for joining us this evening, and hopefully we'll see you Sunday at the Hubert Fry Center.
Yep. And then we'll see you back here on Wednesday.
Good.
Yep.
See ya.
Black screen.